Have you found your tribe, your people, your community yet? I thought I did for the longest time. And today I sit in front of you here recording this on February 1st, 2024, after I spent a week at two conferences in the States. One was more around business and one was more around podcasting. You see, I started podcasting as a way to give back to people I've never met and to those in my life, of course. I started podcasting because I thought that was the best way I can take my why, my gifts, and share them with the world. And of course, I've learned a lot in the process, and I've realized that the podcasting is just one way. But in those 8, 9 months that I've been doing this, I have never expected to meet the people I have met. Fellow guests, fellow hosts, fellow audience members. And last week, I was far from home in Orlando, Florida, attending a conference where I actually didn't know anyone. Everyone that I've known at PodFest was through virtual conversations like the one you and I are having right now. And I realized the power of finding your tribe a while back, but it really sank in for me when I met these beautiful souls in person and I realized, wait a second, this is even better than I imagined. You see, I've always been someone that made friendships wherever I went. I moved from Eastern Europe, Romania to Canada and various parts of Canada, and then moved again from Central Canada to Eastern Canada where I knew no one, and I was able to make friends all the time. And throughout my life, I made friends virtually, but didn't always get to meet them in person. Now with podcasting, this all changed. Pretty much everyone I met through podcasting, with the exception of like two people, have been in other parts of the world. Now, North America is one of them, South America, Europe, of course, Asia, Australia, you name it, everywhere. And when I got to meet them in person for the first time last week, it's like I was meeting an old friend. You see, there was no real difference between the friends I met online and the friends I met in person. Now, most of us know this, right? I knew this because I met people in the past. But it really solidified the idea that if you don't have the type of people you want to spend time with in your life today, or at least you have the internet and you can go out there and find communities. And if you don't know how to find them, take the things you like to do and then do more of those. For me, it was about having an open mind and learning, and also sharing what I have learned and encountered in my life. And that's how this podcast started. And once I had conversations with people, wow, everything changed, because I didn't realize how much approaching something with an open mind and having beautiful conversations with people I have never met in my life could really transform my own perceptions, transform my own life. And I can tell you, dear audience, if you're struggling right now with finding true connections in your life, in any aspect of life, perhaps take a look at online communities. Maybe you want to start your own podcast. Maybe you want to become a guest and share your knowledge. Maybe you just simply want to join a community of like-minded individuals, be it a gaming community, be it a craft community, a hobby community, and look for those people that really share your goals, objectives, and start talking to them. Even those that don't necessarily share something that you currently want in your life or hold dear in your life, and have an open mind and see if it opens you up for something else. And if I were to look back at my journey as a podcast host, and really, even though the podcast went live in May, it's about 1 year now that I started recording with guests. And one of the early realizations I had in this journey was the fact that even if no one else listened to the show, if no one else listened to the conversations that I was having with my guests, the value I was getting out of it was worth everything I have put in. Every piece of resource, right? Time, money, you name it, Why? Because it gave me so much. And when I had that realization, dear beautiful soul, everything changed for me. Why do I share that with you? Because I truly, truly believe that once you open yourself up to new experiences, approach them with an open mind, once you put yourself out there and allow people from various cultures and backgrounds and anything else to come into your life and have a conversation with you, your perspective will expand. You will start to grow and you will start to question things that don't work in your life. And this is what this is all about. It's not about questioning everything, it's questioning things that do not work for you. Because I can argue that we can look at anyone's life and we can find many things that they don't agree with, but they still do them because that's what they've always done or that's what they've always been told to do. Now, if you're too shy to have a conversation online, if you're too shy to go on a podcast, there are many things you can do. You can start with simple conversations on platforms like Discord or Slack or other platforms where you can have a written or verbal conversation with someone. You don't have to turn your camera on or anything like that. However, you can always work on those aspects. Would you believe me if I told you that when I grew up and when I went to university and everything in between, I was so shy that I could barely have a conversation with one or two people, let alone adults? I was not even able to complete presentations in front of a few of my peers or a professor or even a classroom. And today I have presentations in front of CEOs, VPs, hundreds of people. I record podcasts, I go on shows as a guest, I do public speaking. And it's not because I was born amazing at it. I'm still learning a lot, and there's always room for improvement. And it wasn't because I was born knowing how to put myself out there and start recording and start talking in front of someone. It took practice, it took a lot of practice. And very importantly, it also took an open mind. Being open to what? To feedback, both positive and constructive. Now, of course, not all feedback is equal. Sometimes there is feedback that you may simply not agree with, and that's fine. You don't have to take it all. So, with that being said, why am I recording this episode right now in this new format? Well, I've come to realize that trying too hard to script, trying too hard to create something that's not fully authentic is what causes us human beings to not connect to each other so deeply. And like everyone else, when I started a new thing, I'm trying to learn from different experts and different groups of people. And I've tried many things. I mean, if you've been with me from the beginning of this journey, or if you just joined us, if you were to go back to some episodes, you'll get to see how everything has evolved over this last, 9, 10 months that the show has been live. So anyway, I wanted to go back to this event in person that I attended to last week. One thing I learned in my journey so far is that I no longer want to go into anything with expectations. Because when I have an expectation, not only does it set me up for failure very often, and of course disappointment, it also sets you up to miss out on various opportunities. So what I mean by this, if I go into something with a very fixed expectation, I want this outcome out of it, I want to experience this, I don't want to experience that, you name it, what's going to happen is that you are going to pretty much put blinders on and you're only going to focus on that potential outcome that you're hoping to get out of it. So you'll miss out on experiences, you'll miss out on meeting specific people, hearing specific stories, or even you jumping into a conversation with someone. You may actually miss out on information they're sharing with you because you're so fixed on what you want to accomplish. You want to get a sale, you want to get a contact, you want to a specific outcome. It doesn't matter. We've all been there and we've done it. So what I've now done in my life is attempt to come from a place of what? Not expectation, but intention. And when I say attempt, I want to actually change that word. Because whenever we look at like trying and attempting and whatnot, it gives us a chance to have an excuse to get out of it. So let's change that. Now I don't attempt to have an intention. I go into everything and I get to have an intention for whatever it is that I do. I do not get to have an expectation, even though sometimes old behaviors, old beliefs sneak in on us. I get to have an intention. And my intention for last week was to go into these conferences, have an open mind. My intention was to meet beautiful people and form connections. And that included people that I've already met and people that I haven't met yet. And I can tell you that I'm sitting here in front of you a couple of days after returning, and I'm like, wow, this has been simply amazing. Not only have I gotten to meet amazing people, some that I knew before and some that I didn't, the experiences I've gone through, both on, let's call it the business side, the podcast side, but also the spiritual side, have been transformational. And even if you would have paid me $1 million before I went there, I could have not really guessed half of the stuff that was going to happen or set proper expectations to get half of the stuff or more of what happened down there. And of course, if there's interest, we'll dive deeper into what went on. But really, the gist of this episode, and I don't want to keep it too long, is essentially this. Have an open mind, go in with intentions into anything that you do, feel into whatever it is that you're trying to do, but don't put any expectations if you can. Because expectations is what's going to lead you to disappointment. It's going to lead you to missing out on opportunities you could otherwise enjoy so much. And again, I'm not saying anyone is perfect. I'm not saying that there's only one way to do things. Far from it. However, it doesn't mean that there are not better ways in which we can approach this game called life. One other big lesson I took out of this event, and this, funny enough, has been a recurring theme from day one of the first conference, and then of course expanding to the second one, is this idea of not judging a book by its cover. And I come from a background, Slavic background in Eastern Europe, and the environment I grew up in, it was an environment that was very quick to judge people based on what? Appearance, their jobs, their behavior, you name it. So in other words, judging a book by its cover. And there were some inspirational speakers and people I've met at this event that reminded me time and time again how many beautiful things can unfold when you do not judge a book by its cover. And I know I've been judged by my cover at times. I know I've judged people by their cover at times. And it's really when you open up the pages that you realize how beautiful someone is on the inside and how wrong you are. And again, I'm happy to admit that I still fall prey to judging sometimes too early. And I do not believe that we can 100% be judgment free. And that's something that we can delve deeper in. But my dear friend Ashley reminded me of that the other day, because I really thought that one could be judgment free. But really, in this, let's call it illusion, in this world, there's no such thing as judgment free. Just judging less, perhaps. Just judging significantly less than most people. That would be a great start to begin with. And that's one of my goals for 2024, to treat everyone as I want to be treated, to look at every human being, every animal, every piece of nature with as little judgment as possible and say, you know what, I can learn from you and you can learn from me. And let's just coexist together beautifully. Anyway, when it comes to finding your own tribe, which is where we started today, don't limit yourself to just your real life. And when I say real life, I mean people you can find within 5-10 miles of your place, or people you get to meet with in person, so to speak. And look at communities that can be formed online and become part of. I mean, I know a lot of us have been gaming in the past, so we know the value of those communities. But then also make an attempt to see if you can meet those people in person. I cannot tell you how powerful it was to meet so many amazing people that I've only met on a podcast, either as a guest or a host, and get to spend time with them and realize, wow, everyone is just such a beautiful human being, wanting more from life, wanting the best for themselves and others. And that's it. And when you realize how similar we all are, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter your skin color, you can be white, black, red, purple, green, you name it, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what gender you are, who you like or you don't like. We're all the same. We all want joy, happiness, fulfillment, success, abundance in our life, which means that we can all work together for that outcome without screwing anyone else over, without destroying nature, without killing each other, beating each other up, and taking from each other. And that's truly what dawned on me when I got to sit with so many amazing people last week. And these are people from all walks of life, people that have made it and have so much money that they don't know what to do with it, to people that have sold things to be at this event so they can meet other people and learn. So if you are with me, if you feel like you're part of my tribe, hit me up. Konstantin@unleashyourself.com, or leave a comment or review down here. I would love to hear from you. And of course, I know you'd love to continue these conversations and learn from each other. So up here, you'll see a video come up momentarily on how you can take yourself to the next level. So I cannot wait to see you there, and we'll chat in a few minutes. Beautiful soul.